How do? I'm Mark from Morrigan's Creations, and today we're going to be converting a minion, which I think are still relevant. It's still in the movies, isn't it? In the pictures? I think so. People still like them anyway. But yeah, we're going to be converting one of those into a Myconid. I think that's how it's pronounced. Don't have a go at me if it isn't. Don't bully me, please. But yeah, made this little fella. Don't know whether he's going to show up on the camera very well. A bit lower. Man behind it, just in case. Yep, simple build. And I hope you enjoy. Okay, so here we are back at the desk. And like I said, we're converting this minion. I think this one's called Stuart. That's what it said on the box anyway. We're going to be converting him into a Myconid, which is basically a mushroom person. So first things first, we're going to be transferring him to a 28mm base. To do that, I'm just going to snip off the bottom of his feet and do a quick dry fit just to make sure that he looks at home on this new base. Okay, so now I'm afraid we're going to have to cut off his arms. If you love minions, look away now. And even worse, we're going to cut off his eyeball. Mainly his goggles anyway. I don't know if his eyes are sort of protruding into the goggles. By the way, they're gone now. Any extra little bits will go in this jar full of random bits. It's good to have a little jar of this kind of thing, so you can use them in basing. Now we're going to quickly glue him to the new base. To do that, I'm just going to use some cheap super glue. He's looking quite good on that new base. Okay, so it's time for some green stuff now. I'm going to cut this out using my normal blade. Going to add a little bit of petroleum jelly, just so that it doesn't stick to the blade. And now I'm going to cut out a little strip from the centre where the putty might have cured, where the yellow meets the blue. Just because there might be some dried up little bits just on the inside, and we don't want that getting into our mixture. So now I'm just going to put a layer all around the minion, starting off with that eye. And this is going to make out the base shape of the Myconid itself. Just add in a couple of balls of this putty, just to add the shape of the eyes. Zoomed in a little bit more here, just so that you can see what I'm doing. Quality's not the best, but I have recently moved where the crane arm is, so everything's a bit zoomed out. Now we're just going to make a little hole in the face where the eyes would sit, but I'm just going to leave these as empty chasms. Don't know why, just thought it looked cooler. Played around with the idea of making little feet for this fella, but then I wanted to have a go of making a cast of him, and I just thought connecting him straight to the base, straight down, as if he's growing on the ground, would be a better fit, make it a bit easier of a cast. Another layer of green stuff, just because I thought the silicone might get caught just underneath the body where it's going to go into the ground, so I thought I'll make it go completely straight down. So here I am smoothing it out, just to make it a bit easier when it comes to casting. It's time to add a bit of texture to this fun guy. To do this, I'm using a homemade texture roller that I made out of some extra Gorilla Pup. Here I'm making another batch of green stuff, and this is to make the aforementioned gorilla pot. So start off mixing some green stuff and then move on to the milliput, which is here. There it is. I use the superfine white version. Same as green stuff, a mixture of the two parts, mix them together. Here I'm putting on some gloves because it makes a mess. I'm no Andy Mecha, I don't like having my hands completely covered in gunk. And here we go, transition time. Look at that, gorilla pot. I don't know where the footage of actually putting the cap on that boy is. You can see him in the top left corner there, got his little cap on. So here we are, getting the airbrush ready to do a bit of priming. And some airbrush thinner, make it a bit easier to work with. Bit of flow improver. And then after mixing it a little bit, I decide to add just a little bit of water. Okay, time for one final mix, and then it's ready to add to the airbrush. Here we are, pour that bad boy mixture in. Add the lid so I don't spill it anywhere. And time for another glove, because I don't want to get any of this paint on my ring. Do a bit of a tester just before I try and apply it to the model. Okay, and here we go. Add a little bit of a time lapse because it took me longer than I should admit to actually get this paint on there. I think I need to mess around with the pressure a bit more. But we did get there. So, like I say, sped this bit up. To avoid wasting any paint, I'm going to add this remainder bit to a dropper bottle. Once I get the lid off anyway. But yeah, that just means I can use it until it is completely gone, as opposed to tipping it away. Make sure to clean your airbrush thoroughly between adding different colours. So the next colour I'm going to be adding is white, so I want to make sure that all of the black is going to be gone. So I'm using a bit of orc skin. That's what the paint's called anyway, don't worry. And a bit of white ink. This will help it flow a little better, but just in case I will add some flow improver. And a bit of thinner as well. And of course a drop of water. And into the pot it goes. Time for another little time lapse. A little shorter than the last one. This covered actually really well. I'm quite happy with how thick the mixture was. The airbrush did a great job of it. Now I'm going to use some Cambion Crimson, a bit of Owlbear Brown, mix them together. Add them to the airbrush, and that's going to cover the mushroom cap. I'm going to add a little bit more white ink just to get a lighter shade. I'm going to use that just to spray directly from above towards the centre to make it a little lighter. Now it's time to add those little white dots that are always on toadstools. I don't know if there's a specific name for the white dots. You'll have to let me know in the comments if there is. I kept mine a little faded. I didn't want them to be too sharp, the circles. So yeah, I just left the pressure off a little bit. Let it fade into each other, make it look a bit more natural. Okay, so before we go into any of the glamour shots, I just want to say thank you to everybody who got involved in Morrigan's Monster Mayhem. We've had a few more entries and I'm going to show them now.